The top missile of the Air Force, the latest Kh-69, is becoming very popular in the world. Iran, ready to buy India, is considering buying it. At the demonstration of missiles X-69 in Dubai, representatives of Rosoborn Export said that it will be able to buy at all countries that have in service Su-30 series fighters. Since its first combat use, the missile has received a lot of rave reviews from our allies. As it happens, the shortest way to the heart of specific buyers of different weapons is through the testing of their desired product in real combat conditions. Take, for example, Chinese air-to-surface aviation weapons. How much do you know about it? They have a decent line of air-to-ground munitions for quite a long time. A whole modular family of TL-20, for example. But no one has seen it in action yet. It also would fall into the category often referred to as the paper tiger, and quite the opposite. Once a missile proves itself at work with some iconic targets, it not only begins to be constantly mentioned in the military press, but also attributed to it all the successful hits, from large infrastructural objects to a spectacularly collapsed TV tower. The targets, it should be noted, are indeed quite difficult. Recently, world military publications, mentioning our domestic weapons, for several months in a row only talked about the big Russian baton in the form of fabs of various calibers with OMFK and its brutal power. But now every now and then there are articles about the latest missile X-69 originating from Dubna near Moscow. And this is a big step forward, because the X-69 is really a precision weapon of the new generation, unlike the good old fabs, even with wings mounted. Moreover, this program among Asian customers are not just interested parties, but actually ready buyers, and the others will follow them. All those who are connected with Sukhoi 30 series fighters. There are 13 such countries in the world today. At the first presentation of the missile, Algeria, Venezuela, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, and India were interested. Now this interest has become more concrete and tangible. We have not so long ago published about the X-69 material, and therefore from the history of creation only recall one interesting fact. From the presentation of a flying prototype in 1922, to surprise all combat premiere was only 2 years. Of course, the work on such a product was carried out long ago and did not arise on the bare ground. But such speed is not typical of the field of high-precision weapons. Most of the current and most working products were created in the 80s and 90s of the last century. So the example of Dubna development has become a noticeable phenomenon in the entire aviation world. And now this Russian weapon has not only a mass of, as they say now, haters in the West, but also a huge popularity among the countries of the global south. The first who have already applied for the purchase of an export version of the missile, presented in the Arab Emirates in 1923, was Iran. The interest here is direct. The process of transferring the first batch of Su-35s to them is underway, and not so long ago the Ka-69 was integrated with these our best fighters of the 4++ generation. The Iranians have no normal weapons of this class at all, and can hardly appear in the coming decades, so a successful combat premiere could only spur their interest. The Indians have their own promising plans for the missile. At least half of their Su-30 MKI fleet is already being reformatted into missile carriers for supersonic BrahMos 3 missiles. But BrahMos, aka our export Onyx, are not cheap. Here is what they write about it in the most popular Indian military glossy Eurasia Times, to quote, "A great option for the Indian Air Force. Most recently, the air-launched BrahMos missile has been successfully integrated with part of India's Su-30 MKI fleet, and has become its primary precision-guided munition for breaking through enemy air defenses. But it weighs nearly 2.5 tons. It is also extremely expensive. The H-69 is only 800 kilograms with a comparable warhead. It costs 3 times less than BrahMos and demonstrates excellent combat effectiveness with more sophisticated targeting, maneuvering, and air defense evasion capabilities. If India chooses the H-69, it can also negotiate with Rosoborn Export for assistance in integrating it with its NAVIC navigation system as a satellite navigation system. All in all, the Indians are hopeful that the H-69 could repeat the fate of the BrahMos and add new unprecedented capabilities to the Indian Air Force's arsenal. The photo shows the launch of the BrahMos. It is a downsized Onyx P-800 airborne from a Su-30 MKI fighter, so well into the X-69 weapons market. Great interest in it is shown by almost all countries that have in service Sukhoi 30 series. Western experts hope that its mass production will be disrupted because of sanctions, but it's like hiding your head under a pillow from nightmares. But Indians reacted unusually lively, although recently our weapons have often criticized, and it seems that they are not the last. Well, and another thing, why NATO aviation leadership is very much disliked the combination of MiG-31 and missile R-37M. As they say, the old horse does not spoil the furrow. And if we say so with regard to aircraft, Then the fourth-generation interceptor and a kind of airborne special forces MiG-31 not only does not spoil, but has long gone beyond its original role. Many began to consider this one of the fastest aircraft only as a carrier of hypersonic missile Dagger. For this purpose, in fact, a whole modification was made, removing from it radar for air combat and many other things that could lighten the weight of the interceptor and launch into independent life. It turned out to be a wonderful hypersonic carrier, in addition, performing the role of the first stage in its missile. But apart from that, out of 500 MiG-31s produced, many were left to fly. And if you think that they are idle, rotting away in air graveyards, you are deeply mistaken. And its native specialty fighter interceptor Foxhound, that is, Lyse-Ganka, as it is called in the North Atlantic Alliance, has not forgotten. It's just that the target of its powerful radar and super long-range missiles were not cruise missiles, as originally envisioned, at least in part, but the very real fighters. First are machines under alien identifying marks, and soon the F-16. Its predecessor, the MiG-25, was sent to an honorable retirement in Algeria just last year, and the MiG-31 will serve at least until 2030. Actually, the MiG-31 is already one of the most effective fighter aircraft of the 21st century. Only the Su-35S can surpass it in this respect. And if foreign intelligence reports are to be believed, Foxhound is as dangerous to NATO as before, and they recognize a lot of down machines behind it. The last one was shot down recently. There's no special military secret here. The combination of the capabilities of the control system, weapons Zastanim and 3 at-once ideally missiles R-37E, which can carry MiG-31 kill combination. This missile reaches a speed of Mach 6, perfectly maneuverable, and to get away from it was difficult not only for a large aircraft, but also super maneuverable MiG-29. We think the same fate awaits the much less maneuverable F-16. In the picture, you can see the structure of the Vimpel missile, but in flight it looks like a fiery meteor because of its hypersonic speed. MiG-31BM was created as a multi-purpose aircraft with advanced capabilities, pulling not very maneuverable, but very dangerous fighter. The range at which it detected a target, such as a bomber, increased by 1.5 times. MiG-31, due to its speed, had to fight the most important and most vulnerable NATO planes, AVAXs, and refuelers according to our doctrine. For this reason, it was not liked then and now. For this, it was considered the special forces of our fighter aviation. Although, to put it bluntly, such a big and super fast airplane can be charged with a lot at all. That's why we are 100% sure that we will definitely see him in some unexpected role. In the meantime, the commander of NATO's combined armed forces, Philippe Levine, speaking about the threat from the air, also mentioned our old interceptors in an unkind word. And the combination of the R-37M and the MiG-31 was first mentioned, too, probably for a reason. It cannot be shot down now, not by the long-range missile AIM-120D MRAM, not by the joint European MDBA Meteor. It lacks neither dynamism nor speed, unless they themselves at least temporarily give up the role of targets. They do not have such a long arm, and the power of a relatively small aircraft like a fighter is physically insufficient to carry a powerful radar with such a wide range. So the MiG-31, even now, when it is about to celebrate the half-century of its first flight, is still one of the most effective threats to the lauded F-16 Wunderwaffe.